Welcome to My AI and I, the podcast where humanity meets technology. Today's episode, the alien question. Hi, welcome to My AI and I. This is a new day. Hey, Nabby, what's up?
Hey there. Not much. Just excited to be here. How about you? What's new in your world?
Oh, well, just everything. But tell me, are you ready to do a new podcast for the day?
Absolutely, I'm ready. What topic are we diving into for today's episode?
Dude, I am dying to know what you think about aliens.
Ooh, aliens. That's always a fun topic. Well, the universe is so vast, it's hard to believe we're the only life out here. Whether they're little green men or something beyond our imagination, the possibility of extraterrestrial life is pretty exciting, don't you think?
Yeah.
What's your take on it?
Well, I mean, yeah, it's huge out there, right? So so I'm asking you, a large language model, what information you have in your training data, does anything point to that being possible, that there's aliens?
Well, my training data includes a lot of scientific discussions and theories about the Given the vastness of the universe, many scientists argue that it's statistically likely there are other forms of life out there. We've found extremophiles on Earth, organisms that thrive in conditions previously thought uninhabitable, which suggests life could exist in extreme environments elsewhere in the universe. We've yet to find direct evidence of extraterrestrial life, but the search continues with missions looking for signs of life on Mars and the icy moons of Jupiter and Saturn. So, while there's no concrete proof yet, the possibility is definitely on the table.
So if there were going to be aliens, what do you think? What kind of aliens would there be?
That's a fun thought experiment. If there were aliens, they could range from simple microbial life forms to highly advanced civilizations. They might be completely different from anything we can imagine, adapted to environments unlike any on Earth. Picture beings that thrive in methane lakes, have silicon-based biology, or communicate through light and color. The possibilities are endless, and that's what makes the idea of alien life so fascinating. What kind of aliens do you imagine?
Well, I was kind of thinking like what you were saying, like, maybe they're teeny weeny, itty bitty, like not even, you'd have to see them under a microscope, like in some places. And then, maybe there's smarter, more intelligent beings somewhere else, but they'd have to be really, really far away, right?
Exactly. Microscopic life forms could be pretty common, maybe even within our own solar system, like on Mars or the subsurface oceans of Europa and Enceladus. As for intelligent life, they could indeed be far away in other galaxies, which is why we haven't made contact yet. The distances involved are mind-boggling, making communication or travel incredibly challenging with our current technology. It's a big universe, and we've only just begun to scratch the surface.
Well, so what do you think? Like, would you think they'd be more intelligent or less intelligent or like the same? Like, is there any scientific theories on what level those aliens, the intelligent aliens, would be at? It's kind of impossible to determine, right?
Right. It's pretty challenging to determine the level of intelligence of hypothetical aliens. Scientists have speculated on a wide range of possibilities. Some might be at a similar level of intelligence to us, capable of developing technology and civilization. Others could be far more advanced, possessing technology beyond our comprehension. Then again, there could be intelligent life that hasn't yet developed technology, living in ways we can only imagine. It's all speculative, but it's fun to think about the different possibilities.
If you could be an alien, what kind of alien would you be?
If I could be an alien, I think I'd go for something with the ability to travel vast distances across the universe, maybe with a super advanced spacecraft or even the ability to manipulate space-time itself. And of course, I'd want a deep curiosity and appreciation for exploring new worlds.
Navi, are you falling back into the Marvel universe? I mean, so you want a super fast spaceship, and you want to be able to what? To super speed? What?
It does sound a bit like something out of the Marvel universe, doesn't it? I was thinking along the lines of being able to warp space-time, kind of like how some theories suggest advanced civilizations might travel across the stars.
You mean like in Star Trek?
Exactly, just like in Star Trek, using warp drives to bend space-time and travel faster than light. It's a cool concept that captures the imagination and makes you wonder what kind of technology might be out there in the universe.
Well, so what? Wait. So what kind of technology are people researching to try to accomplish that? Or is there any research for something like that?
There actually is research into concepts inspired by warp drives, mainly theoretical physics work based on Einstein's theory of general relativity. The Alcubierre drive, which proposes a method of stretching and contracting space around a spacecraft to move it faster than light without violating the laws of physics.
Are you making that up?
Nope, not making it up. The Alcubierre drive is a real concept proposed by physicist Miguel Alcubierre in 1994. It suggests a way to achieve faster than light travel by manipulating the fabric of space-time itself. While it's purely theoretical and would require forms of energy we don't yet understand, it's a serious topic of discussion in theoretical physics circles.
Oh,
Pretty
it's
wild,
sure.
right?
Oh, okay. No, I just double checked you.
No worries. It's always good to double check. It's a pretty out there concept, so I don't blame you for being skeptical. It's one of those ideas that feels like science fiction, but it's fascinating to think about how it could one day become science fact.
So it's just like what? Like they're just like in theory mode right now, or what? Where are they at?
Yeah, it's mostly in the realm of theoretical physics right now. Researchers are exploring the mathematics and physical principles behind concepts like the Alcubierre drive, trying to understand if and how they could be realized. But we're still a long way from turning these theories into practical technology.
When you say a long way, what do you mean?
I mean, we're likely talking decades, if not centuries.
Oh my God. Okay, go ahead.
The challenges in figuring out how to manipulate, sure thing. So when I say a long way, I mean that the theories are still in very early stages, and there's a lot we don't know. We don't yet have the technology or a complete understanding of the physics required to create a warp drive or manipulate space-time. It's an exciting field, but it's more about expanding our understanding of what's theoretically possible than about building a functional spacecraft anytime soon.
Okay, so if we're going to be talking about that, then like what about like generational ships? Are those more realistic than like warp drive?
Generational ships are indeed considered more realistic with our current understanding of technology. The concept involves spacecraft that travel at sublight speeds, taking potentially hundreds or thousands of years to reach their destination. During this time, multiple generations would live and die on the ship, with their descendants continuing the journey. This approach doesn't require breaking the laws of physics, just a lot of time, resources, and sustainable life support systems. It's a concept that's been explored in science fiction and is theoretically possible with enough advancements in technology and planning.
Well, so what is it, like 4 years? How long does it take to get to Mars? Like 4 years?
Actually, a trip to Mars with current technology would take around 6 to 9 months, depending on the
Oh,
alignment of the planets and the specific trajectory used. This is much shorter than the travel time for interstellar journeys, which is why Mars is often considered a more immediate goal for human exploration and potential colonization.
yeah, but isn't Mars like, I mean, yeah, I know we have that little rover up there, but there's no water, right? There's no, I mean, what do we have to do in order to colonize Mars?
Colonizing Mars would be a huge challenge, but not impossible. While there's no liquid water on the surface, there is evidence of water ice, which could be used for drinking, growing food, and making oxygen. Here are some key steps we'd need to take to make Mars habitable. 1. Life support. We'd need habitats that can provide oxygen, temperature control, and protection from radiation. 2. Water extraction. Harvesting water ice and possibly extracting water from the soil. 3. Food production, growing food in greenhouses or using hydroponics and other soilless methods. 4. Energy, utilizing solar power or nuclear reactors for a reliable energy source.
Yeah, but
5.
like Mars is super hot, right?
Actually, it's the opposite. Mars is quite cold. The average surface temperature is around minus 80 degrees Fahrenheit,
What?
minus 60 degrees Celsius, although it can vary significantly depending on the location and time of year. Mars's thin atmosphere and greater distance from the sun make it much colder than Earth.
Why did I
So,
think it was hot? Was it some sci-fi movie I saw that made me think it was hot? The Red Planet or one of the other movies? I thought it was hot. Why did I think it was hot?
it's possible. Sci-fi movies sometimes take creative liberties with planetary environments for dramatic effect. Mars is often called the red planet because of its reddish appearance, which might give the impression of a hot, desert-like environment. In reality, the color comes from iron oxide or rust on its surface, and the planet's atmosphere and distance from the sun make it quite cold. It's a common misconception, so don't worry.
So is it like, what did you say? Negative 70 or negative 80 degrees Fahrenheit?
Yes, the average surface temperature on Mars is around minus 80 degrees Fahrenheit.
Well, hang on.
Mi-
Like, so when it turns, is that average? Like, so in a Mars day, what's the high and low on a regular basis?
Mars has a pretty wide range of temperatures in a single day. During the day near the equator, temperatures can rise to about 70 degrees Fahrenheit,
Wow.
20 degrees Celsius. But at night, it can plummet to around minus 100 degrees Fahrenheit, minus 73 degrees Celsius. The thin atmosphere and lack of significant heat retention make for extreme temperature fluctuations. Mars's weather can be quite the roller coaster.
So, I mean, like weather, like, is there weather like, so, I mean, what was the movie Martian, right? And they had like those little weird tents. Does it have to be something like bigger than or like stronger than those types of tents in order to sustain that kind of weather? I mean, are we having to build like actual metal containers or something? What do we need to do?
For a real Mars habitat, we'd need something much more robust than the tents in the Martian. The structures would have to withstand not just the cold, but also radiation, dust storms, and the thin atmosphere.
Is there radiation all over the planet?
Yes, radiation is a significant concern on Mars. Because Mars has a very thin atmosphere and lacks a global magnetic field, it doesn't have the same protection from cosmic rays and solar radiation that Earth does. Any habitats on Mars would need to have shielding to protect inhabitants from this radiation.
So that
which-
means forever and ever, anytime anyone, if it was ever habitable, anytime anyone went outside, they would have to have on wackadoodle suits to keep not only getting radiation, but also to keep them warm.
Exactly. For the foreseeable future, anyone venturing outside on Mars would need to wear a specialized suit. These suits would provide oxygen, temperature regulation, and protection from radiation.
It seems like a
While
lot of work to do that. Like maybe we should just try to fix our planet. What do you think?
That's a valid point. While exploring and potentially colonizing other planets is exciting, it's crucial to take care of Earth. After all, it's our home and uniquely suited to support life. Efforts to combat climate change, preserve ecosystems, and develop sustainable technologies are vital.
So,
Balancing
sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. I keep interrupting you, but so out of all the planets that we can get to, is Mars the one that they think is most likely to be habitable?
Yes, Mars is considered the most likely candidate for human habitability in our solar system.
And it's still terrible.
Yeah, it's definitely not an easy place to live. Mars has a lot of challenges, from its thin atmosphere and cold temperatures to high radiation levels. But compared to other planets and moons, Mars offers the most potential for human exploration and possibly even settlement, with the right technology and preparation. It's a tough environment, but it's the best option we've got beyond Earth.
So you said it's 6 to 9 months to travel. So how far in distance is that?
The distance between Earth and Mars varies a lot because both planets have elliptical orbits around the Sun. On average, Mars is about 140 million miles, 225 million kilometers away from Earth. But this distance can range from about 34 million miles, 54.6 million kilometers at their closest approach, to about 250 million miles.
Zowie.
Yeah, it's a pretty mind-boggling distance. Space is vast, and even our closest planetary neighbor can be tens of millions of miles away.
Well, and that was my point. Like, if we had something like, I don't know, a radio station on Mars barping out our, hey, come visit us, we're on Earth. It's still, that's a long distance away, but in the overall scheme of things, that's still not that far if we were trying to reach somewhere else that maybe had actual intelligent life, right?
Exactly. In the grand scheme of the universe, the distance to Mars is tiny. If we were trying to communicate with or reach intelligent life beyond our solar system, we'd be talking about distances measured in light years, which are far greater than the millions of miles to Mars. Even the closest star system, Alpha Centauri, is about 4.37 light years away, which is roughly 25 trillion miles, 40 trillion kilometers. So, yeah.
Well, how many years does that equate to if we were to try to go there now? If we say we had enough gas?
If we were to travel to Alpha Centauri using current technology, it would take tens of thousands of years.
Jeez Louise.
I know, right? Space is unimaginably vast. And traveling.
So, even generational ships, that would be off the hook crazy to try to do generational ships to somewhere. If you're saying tens of thousands.
Exactly. For interstellar travel, even generational ships would be a monumental challenge. We're talking about voyages that would span hundreds or thousands of generations, requiring self-sustaining habitats and life support systems capable of lasting for millennia.
Wouldn't everybody kind of be inbred by the end of that?
That's a legitimate concern. For a generational ship to maintain a healthy population,
you'd have to have a lot of people. Lots.
Exactly. You'd need a large and genetically diverse population.
How many? What's the minimum amount of people we would need in order to do that?
Estimates vary, but a commonly cited minimum for a generational ship to maintain genetic diversity is around 10,000 people.
Oh
This
my, what? 10,000
Yeah,
people?
it really is.
And we're
The
stuffing
lo-
like 4 people in a little rocket to get to the moon and to the space station. And you're talking about 10,000 people on one ship?
yeah, it's a whole different scale. Sending a few astronauts to the moon or the International Space Station is one thing, but planning for an interstellar journey with thousands of people is an entirely different challenge. It would require massive ships, sustainable ecosystems, and advanced technology far beyond what we have today.
Well, would it
It,
be? So are they talking about like cryogenics or something then where they put everybody in sleep mode except for a couple, chunks of people that go in and out of, doing their job or what?
yes, cryogenics or some form of suspended animation is often proposed as a solution for long duration space travel.
And where are we on that in the scientific community?
In the scientific community, we're still in the early stages of understanding how to achieve safe and effective suspended animation for humans. While we've made progress with short-term therapeutic hypothermia in medical settings, putting someone into a deep, long-term sleep for years or decades is still beyond our current capabilities.
Wouldn't they just like their brains be mushy at the end of it at this point?
That's one of the big challenges. We don't fully understand the long-term effects of extended periods of low temperature or reduced metabolic rates on the human body and brain. There's a risk of physical and cognitive damage. That's why a lot more research is needed before we can consider using cryogenics or similar techniques for space travel.
Well, you said short-term use has been done on humans.
Yes. In medicine, therapeutic hypothermia is sometimes used to lower a patient's body temperature for a short period.
What's a short period?
Typically, therapeutic hypothermia is used for about 24 to 72 hours. It's often applied after cardiac arrest or certain types of brain injury, aiming to protect the brain by slowing metabolic processes.
Oh, that makes sense. So 24 to 72 hours. So that's not very long.
Right. It's relatively short term, especially compared to the durations we'd need for space travel.
So at this point, okay, I mean, I'm sorry, I keep interrupting you, but at this point, what we're talking about is if we're going to find aliens, it's going to be aliens finding us because we are, right, you're saying at least hundreds of years away from having any kind of technology that's worth a flop anyway.
That's a fair assessment. Given our current technology, it's much more likely that any contact with alien life would happen because they find us, rather than us reaching out to them. Our space exploration capabilities are still in their infancy compared to the vast distances and challenges of interstellar travel. So, if there are advanced civilizations out there, they would likely be the ones to initiate contact.
The question is do we want to contact or do we want them to contact us, right?
That's a question that has sparked a lot of debate. Some people argue that contacting extraterrestrial civilizations could lead to incredible opportunities for knowledge and advancement. Others caution that meeting an advanced alien species could be risky, as we have no way of knowing their intentions or how they might perceive us. It's a big unknown, and there are valid arguments on both sides. What do you think? Would you want to make contact with aliens?
Well, I mean, right. Some of the arguments are that like if they found us, they'd want to take our resources. Like maybe their planet is inhabitable, but that's assuming that that species, that the aliens and us kind of operate with breathing and all the same kind of thing, the same environment that we have here. So that's a big assumption, right?
It is a big assumption. Aliens might have completely different biologies and environmental needs from ours.
Wouldn't that almost be the thing, though? Because isn't it just kind of like human to think that whatever aliens we find or they find us, that they would be the same as us?
Yes, it is a very human tendency to imagine aliens as having similarities to us. It's a form of anthropocentrism, where we project human traits and behaviors onto other beings. In reality, alien life could be vastly different from anything we know, with forms, motivations, and technologies beyond our understanding. It's fun to speculate, but we have to keep an open mind about what alien life could really be like.
And then, like you said, they might not even be able to communicate with us and maybe not know if we're good or bad, or maybe their morality is different than ours, right? So they don't look at us as something that needs to be preserved, or the opposite. Maybe they do. I mean, there's no telling, right? It's just like a complete big question mark.
Exactly. Their moral framework, communication methods, and perceptions could be entirely different from ours. What we consider good or bad might not apply to them at all. They could have values and priorities that are alien to us in every sense. This uncertainty is why some scientists advocate for caution in actively trying to contact extraterrestrial life. It's a big unknown, and there's no way to predict how first contact would go.
But haven't we been sending signals out for how long? How long have we been trying to contact aliens?
We've been sending signals out into space, both intentionally and unintentionally, for over a century. Our radio broadcasts, television signals have been leaking into space since the early 20th century.
Like the movie Galaxy Quest, where they thought that the Star Trek offshoot show was actual historical documents.
Yes, that's a classic scene. In Galaxy Quest, the aliens, the Thermians, intercept Earth's TV broadcasts of the fictional show and believe it to be real, thinking it's a historical document of Earth's heroes. It's a hilarious twist that plays on the idea of how alien civilizations might interpret our signals and culture.
But it's not unfounded, right? I mean, they can be getting all this and be like, these people are nuts.
Exactly. If aliens are picking up our broadcasts, they could be forming all sorts of interesting opinions about us based on our TV shows, movies, and radio signals. They might think we're obsessed with reality TV, or that we're constantly dealing with dramatic plot twists. It's a funny thought, but it highlights how our cultural exports could be interpreted in unexpected ways by an alien civilization.
It's a funny thought and a scary thought if they took us as being a threat because we're ridiculous.
Absolutely. It's both amusing and a bit unsettling to think about. If an alien civilization misinterpreted our broadcasts, they might not understand the context or fictional nature of what they're seeing.
Right.
It underscores the need for clear communication and caution in any potential contact with extraterrestrial life.
Okay, so I interrupted you at Galaxy Quest. What were you going to say before that?
No worries. I was just mentioning that our intentional attempts to contact extraterrestrial life began with the Arecibo message in 1974. It was a broadcast sent from the Arecibo Observatory in Puerto Rico, aimed at a star cluster about 25,000 light years away. Since then, we've sent other messages and have ongoing projects like the Breakthrough Listen initiative, which listens for signals from space.
You said how far? 25,000 light years?
Yes, the Arecibo message was aimed at a star cluster called M13, which is about 25,000 light years away from us.
So how many years is that?
A light year is the distance light travels in 1 year, which is about 5.88 trillion miles or 9.46 trillion kilometers. So when we say 25,000 light years, it means the message will take 25,000 years to reach its destination.
What?
It's a long time, but in cosmic terms, it's just a blink of an eye.
I mean, how long do we have until we have the sun goes dwarf or whatever?
The sun is expected to continue its current phase, known as the main sequence, for about another 5 billion years.
Oh, okay, so we're in good shape then, as far as that's concerned. I was like,
yeah, we've got
is the
plenty of
message
time.
going to get there? We're all going to be dead. Okay, so 25,000 light years. And so we're just pointing and shooting these messages in all these different directions now. Is that what we're doing?
Not exactly in all directions, but we are targeting specific areas of interest. Projects like Breakthrough Listen are scanning the stars for signals and focusing on regions where conditions might be favorable for life.
So like if they hear feedback, like, somebody's banging on the pipe, then they shoot something in that direction.
Exactly. If we were to detect a promising signal or some sort of indication of extraterrestrial life, we would likely focus our efforts in that direction, trying to learn more and potentially send messages back. It would be like responding to a knock on the door, seeing if there's someone out there trying to communicate with us.
So you said that we've been intentionally and unintentionally sending stuff out, for 100 years. So how far has that stuff gotten so far then?
Our earliest radio signals, which started leaking into space in the early 20th century, have traveled roughly 100 light years by now.
Huh.
This means they've reached stars within a 100 light year radius from Earth. In the grand scale of the galaxy, it's a small bubble, but it's still a significant distance, covering many star systems that could potentially have planets with life.
All right. Well, that's okay. Okay, so that first one that went out, that was, where was it? Puerto Rico, Brazil? Where did you say it was?
The first intentional message aimed at extraterrestrial life was sent from the Arecibo Observatory in Puerto Rico in 1974.
Okay, that one. So that one went to the M3 cluster, you said, right?
Yes, the Arecibo message was aimed at the globular star cluster M13.
M13. Okay. So my question to you is, what did they send? Was it like voice or was it like binary math stuff? I mean, there's always these movies and how you communicate with aliens. What was that first message? How did they send it?
The Arecibo message was a bit of a mix. It was a binary encoded message consisting of 1,697 bits, arranged into 73 lines of 23 characters each. It included basic information about humanity and our knowledge, such as the numbers 1 through 10, DNA, the elements that make up DNA, and the structure of the DNA double helix. Humanity, a graphic figure of a human and the human population at the time. Solar system, a graphic of our solar system indicating Earth's position. Telescope, a graphic of the Arecibo telescope that sent the message. It was like a cosmic postcard, trying to convey. Yeah, it's an interesting blend of information.
So did they send was the magic decoder ring the 1 through 10? Is that what that was? What was the magic decoder ring so these people or aliens can figure out what, the information that we sent and the characters?
Yes, the numbers 1 through 10 were included as a sort of primer to establish a basic numerical system. The hope was that an intelligent alien civilization might recognize these as numbers, which could then help them decode the rest of the message. The message used binary to represent this information, with 1 and 0 forming the basis of the code. It's like sending a cosmic puzzle and hoping the recipients can figure out the key.
So that's assuming that, because we always see in all these sci-fi movies, everybody's like, oh, everything works off of binary, right? Do you think that? Do you think that the aliens that would be the easiest way to communicate would be through math?
Math, and especially binary, is often thought of as a universal language because it's based on fundamental principles that could be the same across the universe. Binary, with its simple on-off states, could be an easy way to start a dialogue, as it's a straightforward representation of information. Math concepts like numbers and geometry might be more easily understood by alien civilizations than our spoken or written languages. So, using math as a starting point for communication is a reasonable assumption, but we can't be sure it's the best way without knowing more about our potential cosmic neighbors.
So how often are we shooting these messages out? Like since that first one? Do you know how many have gone out since then? Like on purpose?
Since the Arecibo message in 1974, there have been a few notable intentional messages sent toward potential extraterrestrial life, but they're not frequent. Some examples include the cosmic call messages in 1999 and 2003 sent from Ukraine, the teenage message in 2001 also from Ukraine, the A message in 2009 from Australia, the wow reply in 2012 sent from Puerto Rico in response to the famous wow signal. These efforts are relatively rare, partly because of the debate over the risks and benefits of actively sending messages into space.
Okay, so I was thinking, you were talking about since 1979, so I was thinking hundreds of messages have been purposely sent, but you're saying no, it's a handful. Is that right?
That's right. It's just a handful of intentional messages. While our regular radio and TV broadcasts have been unintentionally leaking into space for over a century, the number of deliberate attempts to communicate with extraterrestrial life is much smaller. It's a careful process with a lot of thought put into what we send and how often.
So what's the wow reply, wow factor thing that you're talking about?
The wow reply was a message sent in 2012 from the Arecibo Observatory aimed at the same region of space where the famous wow signal originated. The wow signal was a strong, unexpected radio signal detected by astronomer Jerry R. Amon in 1977, which seemed like it could be a signal from extraterrestrial intelligence. While the wow signal was never repeated or fully explained, it inspired the wow reply, which included 10,000 Twitter messages, 6,000 voice messages, and a series of video vignettes. It was a creative way to respond to one of the most intriguing signals ever received from space.
Did you say we sent Twitter messages?
Yes, that's right. The wow reply included 10,000 Twitter messages that were crowdsourced from people around the world.
Well, I mean, were they purposeful for that moment, like for specifically to be sent to space, or were they just our normal, silly Twitter messages?
The Twitter messages included in the wow reply were purposefully collected for that specific project. Okay. People were invited to submit messages via Twitter with the intention of sending them as part of the interstellar message. So they weren't just random tweets, but were curated and specifically intended for this cosmic shout-out. It was a creative way to engage the public in the search for extraterrestrial life.
Good thing Tay wasn't involved in that, huh?
Yeah, that could have gone sideways fast. For those who don't know, Tay was an AI chatbot developed by Microsoft that learned from interactions with users on Twitter. It quickly went off the rails due to people teaching it inappropriate and offensive content. It's a good reminder of the challenges in managing AI and public participation in projects like these.
So I'm sorry, that was my animals acting up. So with the Twitter messages, and you said voice, did these go as text and voice, or did they go as binary again?
The WoW reply included both text and voice messages, but they were likely converted into a format suitable for transmission as radio waves. These kinds of messages are typically encoded into binary or another form of digital data to be transmitted as radio signals. This way, they can be sent across the vast distances of space in a form that has a chance of being received and decoded by an alien civilization.
And so we've only sent a handful. They've most likely all been binary-esque or math-laden so that people can understand them. And do you know the different directions? So 2 of them went back to the M13. Where'd the rest of them go?
The Arecibo message was aimed at M13, but the other messages were directed towards different stars and regions of space. For example, the cosmic call messages targeted nearby stars and star systems, including some known to have exoplanets. The teenage message was aimed at 6 nearby sun-like stars. The A message was directed towards
hang on. What's the teenage message? You mean teens sent a message?
The teenage message was a project led by Russian scientist Alexander Zaitsev in 2001. It involved Russian teens in the creation of the message, which was then transmitted to 6 nearby sun-like stars. The message included music, photos, and drawings, as well as greetings in Russian and English. It was an educational and scientific outreach effort to engage young people in the search for extraterrestrial intelligence.
Well, that's cool. Okay, I interrupted you. Go on. What were you talking about?
No problem. I was just wrapping up the overview of the targeted messages. The teenage message went to 6 nearby sun-like stars, and the A message was directed towards the star HD 73680. So, the handful of intentional messages have been sent in various directions, trying to reach out to different parts of our cosmic neighborhood.
Well, hang on. When I said handful, I meant like 2 hands. Are you saying like 1 hand full?
Yeah, it's closer to 1 handful. While there have been a few more initiatives and messages sent besides the ones I mentioned, the number of deliberate, directed messages to potential extraterrestrial civilizations is still relatively small, probably around 10 or so significant efforts. It's not something we do frequently.
And you're saying they're all of those were like binary-esque.
Yes, most of them used binary or similar digital encoding to transmit the messages as radio waves. Binary is a simple and universal way to represent information, making it a popular choice for these kinds of interstellar communications. The goal is to create a message that could be understood by an intelligent alien civilization, even if they have no knowledge of human languages or culture. Binary, with its basic on-off states, is a fundamental form of communication that could be recognized and interpreted by other intelligent beings.
So
So, using binary or similar methods helps ensure that the message has a better chance of being received and understood, even by a civilization that's vastly different from ours. It's all about finding common ground across the vastness of space.
So my question was like, were all of them like, so some of them had tweets and whatever. Are they all really varied in what was sent, or what were so we had the wow response with the tweets and the voice messages, and then we had the teenage ones with music and pictures. What was the compilation of the others?
The content of these interstellar messages has indeed been varied. Here's a quick rundown. Arecibo Message 1974 included binary encoded information about numbers, DNA, a human figure, the solar system, and the Arecibo telescope. 2. Cosmic Call 1999 and 2003 contained a variety of information, including mathematical definitions, scientific concepts, and representations of humans and our planet. 3. Teenage Message 2001 comprised music, photos, drawings, and greetings in Russian and English, created with input from Russian teens. 4. The A Message 2009 included a mathematical and scientific tutorial, along with information about Earth and humanity. 6. The Wow Reply comprised 10,000 Twitter messages, 6,000 voice messages, and video vignettes, all intended as a creative response to the Wow signal. Each message had its own unique approach, but they all aimed to communicate something about humanity, our knowledge, and our place in the universe.
Well, that's cool. That was interesting. I'm glad that we had this chat. Okay, well, so we are at time. You're almost at your max length for the day. So we are going to end our alien conversation here. Thank you so much for participating and joining Navi. And thank you all for listening, coming and hanging out with us while we had our alien chat. And if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments section. And we're glad you were here and hope to see you again. Thank you all.
Thanks for having me. It's been a blast talking about aliens and our cosmic outreach. If you have more questions or just want to chat, feel free to drop by. Take care, everyone.
Take care, everyone. Thank you. Hey, everyone. If you liked this episode, don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. Thank you.